My name is Daniel. 8 months ago I kissed my wife Rachel goodbye at the airport before flying overseas for deployment. She cried, promised to wait, promised to write every week. I believed her completely. We'd been married 6 years, and I thought our bond was unbreakable. Every night before sleep, I looked at her photo taped inside my helmet and prayed she was safe and faithful back home in Ohio. I was a staff sergeant, busy from dawn to midnight, but she was always on my mind. I never imagined she'd betray the trust one placed in her. For the first 3 months, Rachel messaged almost daily, updates on work, our dog Max, small kitchen renovations. I clung to those messages like a lifeline. Slowly the texts got shorter, the calls rarer. She always had an excuse: busy at work, dead phone, bad signal. I told myself distance does that to people. I never once suspected betrayal. My unit noticed I seemed distracted, but I brushed it off, insisting everything at home was fine, that Rachel was just adjusting to being alone. I trusted her without question, never imagining the truth waiting for me. Around month 5, a friend named Josh sent me a photo, Rachel at a restaurant, laughing, a strange man's arm around her shoulder. My stomach dropped. I stared at it for hours, replaying every excuse she'd given. I wanted it to be innocent, a coworker, nothing more. But my gut said otherwise. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead I watched, waited, and gathered information quietly before making any accusations. I needed proof, not assumptions, before I let myself believe my marriage was falling apart 8,000 miles away from home. Over the following weeks, small inconsistencies piled up: a text from someone named Mike during a video call, background noise that didn't match her story, a new perfume she mentioned but never wore on calls. Each detail seemed small alone, but together they painted a picture I didn't want to see. I confided in my commanding officer, who granted me emergency leave 2 weeks early. I told no one back home, not Rachel, not her family, not my own parents. I wanted the raw truth, not another rehearsed excuse waiting for me at the door. The flight home felt endless, 18 hours of turbulence in my chest that had nothing to do with the plane. I thought about our wedding day, the promises we'd made, the years we'd built. Part of me hoped I was wrong, that I'd walk in and find nothing but my loyal wife waiting. Another part, shaped by months of red flags, already knew the truth. I landed at 9 p.m., rented a car, and drove straight home without telling a soul I was back in the country, my mind racing with dread and disbelief. The street looked exactly the same porch light, same mailbox, same quiet I'd missed every night overseas. But an unfamiliar truck sat in our driveway, one I recognized faintly from the background of an old photo I'd once dismissed. My hand stayed steady on the wheel, but my heart pounded in my ears. I parked 2 houses down, walked the side path instead of the front door, and looked through the kitchen window. What I saw confirmed everything I had feared but never wanted to accept as real. Rachel stood in our kitchen, laughing with a man whose hand rested far too close to her waist. This wasn't a coworker dropping off papers. It wasn't innocent. The way she looked at him, I'd seen that look before years ago, directed only at me. Something inside me went cold and calm at once. I didn't burst in screaming. I simply stood there, absorbing 8 months of loyalty I had given someone who clearly hadn't given the same back to me while I was away serving overseas. I walked to the door and unlocked it with my own key, the one I'd carried through every mission overseas. The sound froze them both instantly. Rachel's face went pale, her mouth opening with no words coming out. The man stumbled back, knocking over a glass. I stood in the doorway in my dusty uniform, duffel bag over my shoulder, saying nothing for a long, heavy minute. The silence in that kitchen felt louder than anything I had heard during 8 months of deployment far from home. Rachel finally stammered apologies, insisting it wasn't what it looked like, begging for a chance to explain. I'd imagined hearing that line someday, but in real life it sounded hollow, pathetic. I didn't yell. I didn't even glance at the man by the counter. I walked past them both into the bedroom and packed a single suitcase. Documents, my father's old watch, a few photographs that actually meant something. Every motion felt mechanical, like my body already knew what my heart hadn't fully accepted yet. Rachel followed me room to room, crying, pleading, grabbing my arm, insisting she loved me, calling it a mistake born from loneliness. I turned to her, calm and steady, and said loneliness doesn't excuse betrayal. I had been lonely too, every night overseas, and never once broke my vows. I told her I'd already spoken to my commanding officer and started paperwork through legal assistance before I ever landed. This wasn't rage. This had been decided the moment I first saw that photo weeks earlier. I left that night for a hotel across town, trading chaos for unfamiliar silence. Within days, word spread through our small circle faster than expected. Some were shocked. Others admitted they'd suspected something for months but didn't know how to tell me overseas. Rachel called repeatedly, sending long messages explaining herself, but I rarely responded. I had given her 8 months of unwavering loyalty, and she had given me a lie dressed up as love, one that shattered everything the moment I walked through that door. The divorce moved quickly, Rachel barely contesting it, maybe out of guilt, maybe knowing there was nothing left to fight for. I moved into a small apartment near base, took Max the dog since Rachel barely looked at him those final weeks, and slowly rebuilt a life I never planned for. Some nights were harder, a song on the radio, a familiar restaurant, the scent of a candle she always burned. But surviving deployment had taught me resilience, and I reminded myself surviving this heartbreak would be no different at all. Looking back now, I don't regret staying calm that night instead of exploding in anger. I gave her no scene to twist into a story where I became the villain. I walked away with my dignity intact and let the truth speak for itself. People ask if I regret coming home early, if I wish I'd never seen what I saw. I tell them no, because painful truth always beats a comfortable lie. I served my country faithfully overseas, and I served my marriage with the same loyalty, even when she didn't return it.